Hey guys, today we're going to talk about shading, and I'm going to teach you how to do graduated shading and shading with transitions. So graduated shading, this is a past class, but graduated shading is smooth. There isn't lines in the shading, and I want one side of your rectangle very dark to medium to light. Our shading is smooth, there is no lines in our shading, and over on this side of the rectangle, I want to be white. So if you do not get white on this side of the rectangle, you went medium too much and didn't get light fast enough. So that's what I'm looking for. And then I'm going to show you how to do transition shading, where it looks like it's changing from one color to another. The trick with this one is mixing the two colors right here in the center. So to start, what I want you to do is you are going to trace your rectangle that I'm going to give you. It's just a piece of paper. You're going to trace some rectangles on your paper. And it doesn't matter if you do this dark, this is just practice. And you're probably going to need lots of practice, so if you mess up, you have extra rectangles to use. So draw you a few. All right, so once you have some rectangles, you want to choose the color pencil. I'd prefer that you use a color pencil that isn't a bright color. So don't use any oranges or yellows. You want to pick a darker color. So I have a blue here. So the biggest problem students do when they're shading, I'm going to show you what they do wrong, is they shade in sections. And shading in sections, what that is you stay in one spot for too long. So I'm actually like doing a rectangle all the way down. And what happens is you have this area and you cannot smooth out this line because it's a hard line because you stayed in one spot too long. So when you come over here to do in your medium tones, no matter what you do, it's hard to blend it in and keep that area. So you'll have this area of separation where your shading meets the next area. So do not do this. This is bad. So this is what most students do wrong. Also, another thing that students do wrong is they'll shade right to left, and then they'll shade up and down, and then they'll shade right to left, and up and down. That's bad. So unless you're crosshatch shading, you don't want to do this. So this would also be incorrect. Do not shade up and down, right to left. I would prefer that you do right to left shading. So you are going to start on the edge. Be very careful on your edges. I do want your edges to be clean. I know this is just practice, but we do want it to look nice. You're going to start with more pressure on this side, and as you move across, you're going to get lighter. Get super light over here where you could barely see the blue at all. What I want you to do is keep moving your pencil in random places. All right, once you have one of your rectangles done with graduated shading, you want to bring it to me. If I approve it and it's smooth, there is no lines in your shading, I'm going to give you a star. I also want you to copy these notes down. So you're going to copy next to your graduated shading, you're going to label it graduated shading because it gradually changes from one value to the next. Then you need to say that it is shading with value. All right, so now I'm going to teach you how to do transition shading. So transition shading is pretty easy to do. What you're going to do is you're going to start dark to light just like you did with graduated shading. So you're going to do a graduated shading technique. Then I want you to flip it over. I think it works easier that way. And you are going to go dark to medium to light. And your light needs to go all the way to your dark shade, and you're going to overlap the medium tones. So again, be careful on your edges, and you want to start with a lot more pressure. Make sure you're moving your pencil in all different directions. Not keeping it in one spot for too long so you don't get that separation shading. And you're going to take that light all the way to the dark. You're mixing that medium tones where the blue and then the pink, magenta. And you want to get dark on this side, more pressure. Gradually change as you go across. Most students stop light right here, and then it's not mixed. So it doesn't look like it's changing. The trick is to transition shading is you're going to mix those medium tones. Make sure your pencil isn't staying in one spot so you don't get that separation, those lines. Make sure this side's really dark. And you want to continue this all the way down. So to get your star for your transition shading, there should not be any lines in your shading. I should not see any of the section shading. So if there's section shading in your transition, you're going to have to keep practicing until you get that star. For your notes or transition shading, you're going to write down, you're going to label it transition because you're transitioning from one color to another. Draw you an arrow. So for that definition, you're going to write down transitioning from one color to another. So once you have your 2 stars and you showed me that you can do graduated and you've showed me that you can do transition, then you are going to watch the next video on how to shade your Selfie tin.